no one has done more for Israel than you, Lindsey, Senator Lindsey Graham. He is a stalwart champion of our alliance, and we have no better friend. So I want to thank you for everything you've been doing over the years on our defenses, our security, on Iran.
That is Senator Lindsey Graham in Jerusalem with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. There were some questions surrounding that visit and what it was really about. And now we're learning that the government of Israel is planning on asking the US government for additional military aid to the tune of $1 billion. Now, in 2016, the Obama administration had already approved $3.8 billion in military aid to the Israeli government. And now we're learning more about what Israel is expecting from the United States moving forward. Before we get to that though, even though, as you saw in that video, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had glowing words for Senator Lindsey Graham, Graham, of course, returned the favor, which you're about to see in this next clip.
The eyes and ears of America is Israel. You talk about the Five Eyes, they're important allies, but nobody does more to protect America from radical Islam than our friends in Israel. And I just want you to know, this sign says all you need to know about my trip. To every American, what happens with Iran matters to not only to America, but to the world. The worst possible outcome for the world is to allow the Iranian regime to acquire nuclear capability, because our Arab friends will not tolerate that. They feel far more threatened by Iran than they do Israel. So my hope is to find an alternative to the JCPOA that will allow for nuclear power but not create a nuclear arms race through enrichment. And that's the existential threat to the state of Israel and the world writ large.
Now we'll get back to the fact that Israel is asking for additional military aid, again, to the tune of $1 billion. But before we get to that, I have to address what Senator Graham said in that video, because there's quite a bit of fear mongering, of course, regarding Iran and the possibility of Iran developing nuclear weapons through the enrichment of uranium. And so if Senator Lindsey Graham is at all sincere about what he was claiming in that clip, well, then he would have been enraged when Donald Trump decided to pull out of the JCPOA. That's the Iran nuclear deal, which ensured that Iran was not enriching uranium and not developing nuclear weapons. That was the agreement, by the way, that was reached by China, France, Russia, UK, and the United States. Germany was also part of these negotiations. It was reached in 2015, again, under the Obama administration. And there was quite a bit of monitoring taking place to ensure that Iran was keeping up with its part of the deal in regard to the Iran nuclear deal. In fact, the IAEA Director General gave a comprehensive statement regarding what those safeguards look like, what it was like to ensure that Iran was keeping up with its part of the deal. He said back in 2018 that, as I've said many times, I believe the JCPOA represents a significant gain for verification. The IAEA now has the world's most robust verification regime in place in Iran. We have had access to all the locations that we needed to visit. IAEA inspectors now spend, by the way, this is before the Iran nuclear deal was ripped up by the Trump administration. IAEA inspectors now spend 3,000 calendar days per year on the ground in Iran. We have installed some 2,000 tamper-proof seals on nuclear material and equipment. We have carried out more than 60 complimentary accesses and visited more than 190 buildings since the JCPOA implementation day. And then finally, just one more excerpt from the statement here. We collect and analyze hundreds of thousands of images captured daily by our sophisticated surveillance cameras in Iran, about half of the total number of such images that we collect throughout the world. So I give you that statement because the Iran nuclear deal was the best deal reached between these countries to ensure that Iran was not enriching uranium and not developing nuclear weapons. The Trump administration pulled out of that deal, re-implemented sanctions against Iran, and now they're claiming, people like Senator Lindsey Graham are claiming, oh, well, Iran is such a threat. They're enriching their uranium. We need to do something about it. Don't buy that talking point, because Lindsey Graham aided and abetted in what Trump did in ripping up that Iran nuclear deal. And if they're genuinely concerned about the development of nuclear weapons, they have a funny way of showing it. But Ryan, I want to bring you in. I apologize for filibustering a little bit here. It's just that statement by Lindsey Graham was really infuriating, and I hate that they keep perpetuating that lie.
Right, because they want conflict between with Iran. So that it was a threat to their diplomatic strategy to see the United States negotiating with Iran, and it goes back exactly to what Lindsey Graham said. And we're in an era now where people are saying the quiet parts out loud and making subtext text a lot more frequently. Lindsey Graham did it alongside Netanyahu there when he said Five Eyes are great, which is referring to like these 5 countries that share intelligence, but our real weapon is Israel in the Middle East. Everyone has always known that Israel functions as the U.S. ally to help it control the region of the Middle East. That's kind of a main part of its geopolitical function. It's rarely ever stated that plainly. So thank you, Lindsey Graham, for putting it as clearly as you did. In order for that relationship, that special relationship as they call it, to continue, Israel has to be hostile, particularly with Iran. If the U.S. is no longer in a hostile situation with Iran, then why does it need this special partner in the Middle East to help it go to war and get into these conflicts with these other countries? And so that's precisely why they would do something that seems counterintuitive. You don't like on nuclear weapons? Well, great. Guess what? I have wonderful news for you. We struck a bargain. They're not going to do it anymore. They're going to allow inspectors in, and here are all the kind of economic entanglements that are going. They insist upon actually following this, and that's how it makes sense that they object to that, because their actual goal is not necessarily a peaceful coexistence that includes diplomatic recognition, because then that lowers the temperature and that makes the U.S. less interested in sending $1 billion for weapons on a whim.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.